Hi guys, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Thursday, the 16th of November. So we're going to go through some of the charts of interest from today. Obviously, the Australian dollar is looking like a strong currency on the day traders time frame, and the yen is the weakest. So maybe we're going to be looking back at these yen pairs again. We can see euro yen still tops the trend traders table, and obviously we've been heavily involved with euro yen. We can see that the New Zealand dollar is still strong on here. And we actually had a look at Kiwi Yen, Kiwi CAD yesterday. So let's have a little look at those types of markets. We've got lots of obviously to go through and have a little look at going into today. One market which I quite like, Aussie CAD. Now, Aussie CAD on the daily chart was something that we've spoken about recently. What we highlighted was the fact that price came into these previous structure highs here on the daily chart, and we were essentially looking to see if price would go into those after finding support down through this level of support on the daily chart. I've actually just highlight these two levels to you. The first one is this low down here around about the 87 sort of 60 handle, 87.65 we've got there, and this current swing high, which is currently around about this 0.89 figure. I would like to see price try and trade through this point, and what's quite interesting right now is the fact that we breached it to the upside. We've closed back below, so it's showing a rejection around about that 0.89. We've breached yesterday's low, we've come down. So you're probably thinking, why on earth are we looking to potentially go long here? And it's because of the sort of nature of what's happening here at this level of support. I think if price closes bullish here today, it's actually more of a signal that price is going to head to the next level of resistance, and that resistance level comes in around about the 0.9050, which were these highs back through back through July. So that's something that's quite interesting there. I'm just going to highlight as that as 0.9050. Now, obviously, I would probably prefer to see how this day pans out here, because obviously what I don't want to try and do, like I said before, is get on the fact that this could still form today to be a bearish candlestick. Obviously, it could form to be quite a very a bullish candlestick. We don't know how this day is going to format, but I would like to see how price reacts here. Now, one thing we can look for are those reactions on a lower time frame. So I'm actually going to come to the hourly time frame here, and what I can see, which is quite interesting, is the fact that we've formed a low. Okay, we formed a low on the hourly chart. Now, if we are in a sort of daily move here in the primary phase, okay, so let's just say that this here is the primary phase. Okay, what we would expect from a lower time frame, so let's say this is actually the daily primary phase, you would expect price to make higher highs and higher lows. Now, just to confirm that, we're going to go to a daily chart. Okay, we're going to highlight a primary phase within the market. Okay, so let's say this downward trend that we've been in most recently, we can see that there's an impulse, a primary phase here. So if I go to the hourly chart here, I'm going to zoom out. I'm just going to go back to that area here. Guess what you can see? You can see the market making lower lows and lower highs as it trends to the downside. Okay, so we see that, and price is showing us that it's continuing that downward trend phase. Okay, so now we are looking at the potential of if something's going to turn into a primary phase here, right? Because if we look at the daily chart, we can see that price has recently made a higher low, higher high. Is this that higher low? Okay, does this mean that this right now is the primary phase? Okay, is this the secondary phase there? Typically what happens in a secondary phase, you have the primary phase, secondary phase, primary phase, right? In the secondary phase, you often see a little bit of a downward trend, and then price makes a sort of turning point here. Is this a secondary phase there? Is that the primary phase essentially? Is that what we're witnessing here right now? Now, to kind of judge that, again, just go down to that hourly chart. The one thing we should see is a change of trend. Right now I can see that price formed a very common trading pattern here, which was the head and shoulders pattern. You've got the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. This is on the hourly chart. Now you can see chart partner over here, and we've made a new lower low. So if price is going to continue to move lower, we should see price make lower highs and lower lows. Okay, you can see that's why I've also applied a trend line resistance in here at the moment, because I want to see how price reacts to that level. Now, typically what we would do if the chart is on the tables and we were looking at trending conditions, we would be long here, right? We'd be long because price closed above the 50 MA. We place our stop loss below the 200 on this hourly chart time frame, and that's how we'd look at this position. The problem I've got is, are we in the secondary phase? Okay, and if we're in the secondary phase, then I want to be looking for opportunities for that to turn into the primary phase. And that's going to occur, I think, if price pulls back into these lows. So you can see I've marked out these lows in here. These lows are the, let's just grab a label, 88.60 are the lows here. And what I'm trying to look for essentially is, does price change trend? And I look for patterns at these areas. So if price pulls back into this point, can it create like a double bottom pattern? Maybe we can even see a bit of divergence from the stochastic at that point. This is where I'd be interested in getting long. The reason why I'd be interested in getting long here, we can have a little bit of a tighter stop loss. We can increase that risk to reward ratio, and then we can look to target that 0.9050 or even the 0.9 level, which comes in as well. Nice psychological number. So we also have to be mindful that we are in a range and we're at daily highs. Okay, so we also need to be aware that this could be an area where price wants to trade back to the downside. So I'm not rushing into anything here. I want to see price maybe come back into this level, reject it, then start pressing back to the upside. If you want to be super safe with this particular market on Aussie CAD, we'd want to wait for price to breach through this area here, breach through these highs, pull back into our moving average, and then look to get on board to try and trade to the next level of resistance. So that's something just to keep your eye on here. But Aussie CAD is shaping up to be a potential chart of interest, obviously, because Aussie being a highest or the strongest on the day traders. I'm trying to see if the momentum is behind that market. I also like Kiwi CAD and Euro CAD. So let's go have a quick flick over to Euro CAD. Euro CAD a little bit different to Aussie CAD. The only difference really being is that we're at weekly resistance. If we look at the daily chart, we can see that if price was to breach this resistance point, the next level of resistance comes all the way up here. That level of resistance is currently around about the 0.5088 handle and above. So anything in there could be quite interesting from a point of view to get long into there. Hourly chart, again, you can see this kind of hugging the 50 MA. So I'm not 100% on trying to get long here right now. What we can do is maybe look at price coming into the swing lows here on the hourly chart. Maybe price might wants to push back down towards there, and then if we get kind of like a breakout opportunity, we could potentially look at some long opportunities through here. Let me just clean this chart up a little bit. That was the last time we went long Euro CAD. Obviously developments have been seen since then, including this sort of trend line support as well. So you can see trend line support, key lows could come into play for a long opportunity. But I do quite like the Euro CAD. Aussie CAD looks quite good as well. Kiwi CAD, also another market which is giving me a potential for opportunity. And we spoke about Kiwi CAD in yesterday's analysis because price had breached these key swing highs here, and we were looking to see, can price come to 0.84. These highs in particular are 0.8190. I could probably round that up to 0.82. These highs that basically formed back on the 11th of October, we've breached those now. We're retesting that level, and we actually kind of discussed this in yesterday's video. We discussed having an alert down at 8200, maybe an entry around about 8210, and look for a potential long opportunity here. I'm kind of waiting for similar price action to go on right now. We can see that we've had a bit of a consolidation here on the hourly. We're not closed above that hourly 50 just yet, and we're in that sort of potential pullback phase. So I want to see maybe if price comes back down, could that then give us the opportunity to get long? I'm trying to think of safer options because I'm going to have a 60 pip stop loss there. Although the risk to reward ratio on this one is quite high, I looked at the 30-minute time frame and we're not above the 30 moving average, and I think that's something that I'd like to see as well. You can see the 30-minute 50 moving average is kind of curling over. over. So I think if we get a reaction there, a pullback into these lows, that's where I'd like to be looking to be a buyer in particular in this market. So I'm actually going to set an alert at 81, actually 0 spot 82 is where the alert's going to go. If we hit that alert, I think we can start looking for longs around about 82.10 with a sort of 30 pip stop loss. That gives us at least 60 pips to the swing highs there. So we've got at least a 2-to-1 to target if price does that. One other chart I want to take a look at is Aussie yen. So if I just bring back the tables here, we can see Aussie yen tops our day traders table, yen the weakest currency on our trend traders table. So we need to look for an opportunity on this market as well. Now, if I go to the daily chart, obviously we're at sort of a key level of resistance right now. Price has come up into the 98 spot 50 handle. We've rejected it and we've come back into these daily swing highs. Now, we know that with the sort of monthly and weekly time frames of the yen at the moment, we can see that the yen is super weak. So we're trying to target the yen across multiple different markets. We've looked at euro yen quite successfully, pound yen as well. We haven't really delve too much into dollar yen, but while Aussie yen loads here, this is a market that we can potentially try and target for a move to the upside. If I just put my crosshair on this while we watch this load a second, you can see that there's a high all the way back here, back on the 14th of December 2014. I'm just going to put a red green line on there at the moment just to show you where price could potentially head towards. On Aussie yen, that is around about 360 pips. So if I just zoom in a little bit here, that break of this high could lead to a move all the way up to here. We'll put the line chart on. You can see that that high is where we should be focusing some potential opportunities, I reckon, around about this zone, around about that 102 handle. So 102 could be targets for Aussie yen on the upside here. What's quite neat about using the line chart as well, sometimes you can use this to create your trend lines, and you can see you can go from the sort of bodies there, and we can see that price has used this trend line support quite effectively recently to extend its gains. So, you know, if price came into that, we could look for longs as well, back into these lows maybe, but that's a way off considering that is a weekly chart. If I was to go down into a lower time frame, what I'm basically looking at is, again, is the market turning into that primary phase? And if it is, then we should see higher highs and higher lows being created. At the moment, we've come and closed back down by these previous lows. It looks to me like we could create a lower high here. So what I essentially want to see is, does price fail to break below these lows? If it fails to break below these lows, then Aussie yen could continue to push back to the upside. So very similar to the other markets, I've set an alert here at 97 spot 82. If price comes back into that level, breaches the 50 MA again, we could potentially look for a long idea on this market. Finally, Kiwi yen hasn't hit our alert yet. Our alert is at 90 spot 20, just down through here. We were looking for entries at 90 spot 30. That alert hasn't been triggered yet, so there's nothing for us to do on this particular market. But really speaking, I quite like Kiwi CAD long. I like Aussie CAD long as well, and I also like Euro CAD longs. But those yen pairs are still very important to watch. So I'll keep you updated on those. Thank you for watching this video update, and I'll catch you in the next one.